She swept quietly in the corner of the gym. Worn clothes, tired face. The young athletes didn't even notice her. Just the cleaning lady. But when a young gymnast fell from a wrong move and no one could help her, that woman stepped forward. Her hands touched the injured athlete's shoulder. 3 seconds. Perfect technique. The pain vanished. The gym froze. On the wall was a photo, 1996 Atlanta Olympics. The gold medalist was the same woman. Welcome to Silent Legends. Before we continue, tell me in the comments from which city in the world are you watching this video today. And if stories like this deserve to be heard, hit the subscribe button and help us bring forgotten heroes back into the light. The Elite Performance Gym occupies a converted warehouse in downtown Portland, its high ceilings and exposed brick walls now home to Olympic hopefuls and professional athletes. Morning light streams through industrial windows, illuminating chalk dust floating in the air like snow. Marina Volkov pushes her cleaning cart across the polished floor, her movements efficient and invisible. At 47, she wears the uniform of overlooked labor, faded gray maintenance coveralls, hair pulled back in a simple bun, comfortable shoes worn thin at the heels. To the athletes training here, she's part of the background, as noticeable as the equipment or the mirrors lining the walls. "Excuse me," a young gymnast says without looking up from her phone, gesturing vaguely for Marina to clean around her bag. The girl doesn't wait for acknowledgement before returning to her conversation. Marina simply adjusts her path, sweeping carefully around the expensive gym bag without comment. She's learned that invisibility has its advantages. People say things around her they'd never say to someone they considered important. "Did you see the new coach they hired?" one athlete whispers to another near the balance beam. Former Olympian, competed in Beijing. Actually won medals. Unlike the cleaning lady, her friend laughs, not bothering to lower her voice. Can you imagine? Spending your whole life mopping floors? Marina's hands tighten slightly on the broom handle, but her expression remains neutral. She's heard worse over the years. After the fall, after the injury that ended her career, after the sponsorships vanished and the gymnastics world moved on to younger, unbroken stars, she'd learned that yesterday's champions become today's invisible people remarkably fast. The head coach, Trevor Marks, strides through the gym with his usual self-important energy. Mid-30s, expensive tracksuit, and the kind of confidence that comes from never having truly failed. He'd competed in one Olympics, placed 8th, and parlayed that into a successful coaching career. "Marina," he calls out, not bothering to look directly at her. The locker rooms need attention. Some of the girls complained about the showers. "Yes, Mr. Marks," she replies quietly, already moving her cart in that direction. "And make sure you're done before the afternoon session," he adds. "We have important scouts coming in. Can't have maintenance staff visible during training." Marina nods once and disappears into the women's locker room. Inside, away from watchful eyes, she allows herself a moment of stillness. The sound of distant training echoes through the walls, the thump of bodies hitting mats, the squeak of equipment, the sharp commands of coaches pushing their athletes harder. She remembers those sounds from a different perspective. When she was the one flying through the air, defying gravity with movements that made crowds gasp. When her body was an instrument of impossible grace and strength. When the name Marina Volkov meant something. The photos in the gym's lobby tell part of the story. A wall of fame displaying athletes who trained here and went on to Olympic glory. Her photo is there, small and tucked in the corner. 1996 Atlanta Olympics, Marina Volkov, gold medal, uneven bars. Bronze medal, floor exercise. But it's faded now, and most people walk past without noticing. The afternoon session brings the gym's elite squad, teenage girls with dreams of Olympic gold and the single-minded determination required to pursue them. Among them is Sophie Chen, 17, considered one of the most promising gymnasts in the country. Marina watches from her position near the equipment storage, ostensibly organizing supplies but unable to look away from the training. Sophie moves with fluid precision, her routine on the uneven bars displaying the kind of natural talent that can't be taught. But Marina notices something others miss. The slight hitch in Sophie's shoulder rotation. The way she favors her left side during dismounts. The almost imperceptible wince when landing. These are the warning signs of an injury developing, the kind that can end a career if ignored. Beautiful work, Sophie. Coach Marks calls out. Let's see it again, but faster this time. The competition won't wait for hesitation. Marina wants to speak up, to warn that pushing through that kind of pain leads to disaster. She knows from brutal experience. But who would listen to the cleaning lady? Sophie climbs back onto the apparatus, chalk dust marking her grip. She swings into motion, her body creating elegant arcs through the air. The routine builds toward the dismount, a complex release move that requires perfect timing and shoulder strength. Marina sees it happening before anyone else does. The slight delay in Sophie's rotation. The shoulder giving out at the worst possible moment. Time seems to slow as the young gymnast loses control mid-flight. Sophie crashes onto the mat, her body at an unnatural angle. The sound of impact echoes through the suddenly silent gym. She doesn't get up. Sophie. Coach Marks rushes forward, along with other trainers and athletes. They cluster around her, voices overlapping in concern and confusion. Don't move her, someone shouts. Call 911. Is she conscious? Marina sets down her cleaning supplies and approaches calmly, her movements purposeful. Years of training override the humble posture she's maintained for so long. Step back, she says quietly but firmly, kneeling beside Sophie. Coach Marks glances at her with irritation. Marina, this isn't your concern. Go back to your duties. Her shoulder is dislocated, Marina states, ignoring him. Her experienced eyes assess the injury with professional precision. And she's hyperventilated from shock. If we wait for the ambulance before addressing the dislocation, the muscle spasms will make it exponentially more difficult to reduce. You're not qualified, Marks begins. I'm more qualified than anyone here, Marina interrupts, her tone carrying an authority that makes everyone pause. Her hands hover over Sophie's shoulder, not touching yet, but positioned with the confidence of someone who's done this before. Sophie's eyes flutter open, filled with pain and fear. It hurts, she gasps. I know, Marina says gently, her voice softening. I'm going to fix it, but you need to trust me. Can you do that? The young gymnast looks at her, really sees her for perhaps the first time, and nods shakily. Marina's hands move with practiced precision. One position to stabilize, the other applying careful, controlled pressure. She speaks softly to Sophie, keeping her calm, while her fingers find the exact points of manipulation learned through years of both receiving and administering sports medicine treatment. Deep breath in, Marina instructs. And out. On the exhale, with a movement so smooth it looks effortless, she guides Sophie's shoulder back into place. The distinctive sound of reduction echoes in the quiet gym. Sophie gasps, then breathes normally, the agonizing pain immediately transforming into manageable discomfort. How did you? Coach Mark stares at Marina as if seeing her for the first time. Marina doesn't answer. She's already fashioning a temporary sling from a towel, supporting Sophie's arm with the kind of expert care that comes from intimate knowledge of athletic injuries. You'll need proper medical evaluation, she tells Sophie. But the dislocation is reduced. The important thing now is immobilization and rest. Who taught you to do that? One of the other athletes asks, her voice filled with awe. Before Marina can respond, an older woman emerges from the gym office. Margaret Hayes, the gym's owner and founder, who rarely comes down to the training floor anymore. She's been watching through the office window. I think, Margaret says slowly, walking toward them, it's time everyone learned who Marina Volkov really is. Marina stands, uncomfortable with the attention now focusing on her. Margaret approaches the wall of fame photos and points to the small, faded picture in the corner. 27 years ago, Margaret begins, the world watched a 19-year-old girl from Belarus perform a routine on the uneven bars that had never been done before in Olympic competition. The difficulty, the execution, the artistry, it was perfection. She turns to face the gathered athletes. That girl was Marina Volkov. 3-time Olympic medalist. 2 gold, 1 bronze. She revolutionized women's gymnastics with techniques that are still being studied today. Stunned silence. Sophie, still on the mat with Marina's improvised sling, stares up at her savior with new understanding. Coach Marx's face cycles through disbelief, embarrassment, and dawning recognition. The 1996 Atlanta Olympics, Margaret continues. Marina was favored to win multiple golds. She won 2, but during her floor exercise routine, she tore her rotator cuff. She finished the routine anyway, hiding the injury, and still earned bronze. That injury ended her competitive career at 20. Marina's jaw tightens, memories of that day flooding back. The searing pain. The choice between stopping or finishing. The knowledge that one decision would define how she'd be remembered. After the Olympics, Margaret goes on, Marina spent years in physical therapy. She learned sports medicine, became certified in multiple rehabilitation techniques, studied under some of the world's best orthopedic specialists. She wanted to help other athletes avoid the injuries that ended her career. Then why is she, one athlete gestures at the cleaning cart. Working as a cleaner. Margaret finishes. Because the world forgets athletes faster than you'd imagine. Sponsors disappear. Opportunities dry up. And when you're not American-born, when your medals are from a smaller country that no longer exists, you find work where you can. Marina finally speaks, her voice quiet but steady. I applied to work here as a trainer 5 years ago. I was told I wasn't qualified enough. I didn't have the right certifications from the right American institutions. So I took the cleaning position because it kept me close to the sport I love. Coach Marx has the decency to look ashamed. He'd been the one who rejected her application, never recognizing the name from the faded Olympic records. Show them, Margaret says to Marina. Show them what you can still do. I'm 47, Marina protests. I haven't trained seriously in years. Show them anyway. Marina hesitates, decades of being invisible warring with the muscle memory that never truly fades. Then she walks to the balance beam, that 4-inch wide strip of wood that demands absolute precision and fearlessness. She removes her coveralls, revealing simple athletic clothing underneath. The years have changed her body, but not eliminated the fundamental athleticism that made her exceptional. She's still lean, still carries herself with the particular posture that marks former gymnasts. The gym holds its breath as Marina approaches the beam. Without warm-up, without preparation, she mounts with a simple yet perfectly executed jump. For a moment, she stands absolutely still, finding her center, remembering what it felt like to be young and unbreakable. Then she moves. Not the complex, death-defying moves of her Olympic years. But a sequence of movements that demonstrate perfect balance, absolute body control, and the kind of grace that can't be faked. Every placement of her feet is precise. Every extension of her arms is deliberate. She performs a full turn, then a back walkover that makes several watching athletes gasp. The dismount is simple but flawless. She lands with barely a sound, knees absorbing the impact with practiced efficiency. When she straightens, there's applause, genuine and filled with respect. Sophie, now sitting up with help from other athletes, has tears streaming down her face. All this time, she says, you were here. You could have taught us so much. And we never even saw you. Marina kneels beside her again. I've been watching all of you. I've seen your potential. I've seen your mistakes. And I've seen the injuries coming before they happen because I've lived through every one of them. Your shoulder, Sophie realizes. You knew because. Because I ignored the same warning signs you've been showing for weeks, Marina confirms. I pushed through the pain because I thought that's what champions did. I was wrong. Champions listen to their bodies. Champions train smart, not just hard. Coach Marks clears his throat uncomfortably. Marina, I owe you an apology. Several apologies. I should have looked beyond the resume, beyond the surface. Your experience, your knowledge, it's exactly what these athletes need. I don't need your apologies, Marina says simply. I need you to see your athletes. Really see them. Notice when they're compensating for injuries. Recognize when they're pushing too hard. Create an environment where they can admit vulnerability without fearing they'll lose their spot. Margaret steps forward. Marina, I'd like to offer you a position as our head sports medicine consultant and assistant coach. Proper title, proper compensation. What you should have been offered 5 years ago. Marina glances at her cleaning cart, at the years of invisible work she's done, then at the faces watching her with newfound respect. I'll need to finish my shift first, she says with the hint of a smile. The locker rooms still need attention. Laughter breaks the tension. One of the younger athletes grabs a mop. We'll help. No, Marina says firmly. That work has dignity too. I'm not ashamed of what I've done here. Every honest job has value. I just want my other skills to be valued as well. The paramedics arrive to take Sophie for proper medical evaluation. As they load her onto the stretcher, she reaches for Marina's hand. Will you be here when I come back? Sophie asks. Will you help me train properly, safely? I'll be here, Marina promises. And we'll make sure you reach the Olympics the right way. Without destroying your body in the process. After the ambulance leaves, Margaret leads Marina to the office. On the wall are her Olympic photos, the official ones in the USA Gymnastics archive, large and prominent. Young Marina mid-flight, body extended in impossible positions, face showing the fierce joy of doing what she was born to do. I kept these, Margaret admits. I knew who you were the day you walked in 5 years ago. I wanted to hire you immediately, but Trevor convinced me you were too old, too far removed from modern gymnastics. I listened to him instead of my instincts. That was my failure, not yours. Marina studies the photos, remembering the girl she was. I'm not that person anymore. No, Margaret agrees. You're someone better. You're someone who understands both the glory and the cost. Someone who can guide the next generation without sacrificing their futures for present success. That evening, as the gym empties, Marina changes out of her coveralls for the last time. She folds them carefully, respecting the work they represented even as she moves towards something new. Coach Marks approaches hesitantly. I looked up your Olympic performances tonight. The videos. I watched your uneven bars routine from Atlanta. It was. He struggles for words. I've never seen anything like it. The difficulty, the execution. You were incredible. I was good at what I did, Marina acknowledges. But being good at gymnastics doesn't make you good at life. These past years, cleaning floors, being invisible, they taught me things the Olympics never could. Humility. Patience. The ability to see value in places others overlook. What you did for Sophie today, Marks continues. That shoulder reduction. Most emergency room doctors couldn't have done it that smoothly. Where did you learn? From my own injuries, Marina replies. From watching my body be put back together piece by piece after competitions. From years of working with physical therapists and learning everything they knew. Pain is a powerful teacher if you're willing to learn from it. The next morning, Marina arrives at the gym as an official staff member. Her coveralls are replaced by proper athletic training attire. Her cleaning cart is replaced by a treatment table and sports medicine equipment. But something fundamental hasn't changed. She still arrives early, still moves quietly through the space, still observes everything. The difference is that now, when she offers corrections or advice, people listen. Your landing is putting too much stress on your ankles, she tells a young vaulter. Adjust the angle of your takeoff by 2 degrees. It seems small, but it will save your joints over thousands of repetitions. Your grip on the bars is half an inch too wide, she observes to another gymnast. It's forcing you to compensate with your shoulders. Let me show you the proper placement. Word spreads quickly through the gymnastics community. The gym that employed a 3-time Olympic medalist as a cleaning lady for 5 years. The story goes viral, spawning debates about how sports culture treats retired athletes, about ageism and opportunity, about the value placed on different types of work. Marina largely ignores the attention. She's focused on the athletes in front of her, on preventing the injuries that could end promising careers, on teaching the next generation to train smarter than she did. Sophie returns after 2 weeks, her shoulder properly treated and healing. Marina designs a rehabilitation program that's both rigorous and safe, pushing the young gymnast to maintain conditioning without risking re-injury. When I was your age, Marina says during one session, I thought rest was weakness. I thought pushing through pain made me strong. I was wrong. Real strength is knowing when to push and when to back off. Your career isn't a sprint. It's a marathon that requires wisdom, not just willpower. Sophie absorbs this, and Marina sees the lesson taking hold. The other athletes watch too, learning not just technique but philosophy. That excellence requires patience. That sustainable success means respecting the body's limits while expanding its capabilities. 6 months later, Sophie qualifies for the Olympic trials. At the celebration dinner, she raises her glass to toast Marina. To the woman who saved my career before it even started, Sophie says, her voice carrying across the room. Who taught me that being a champion isn't about how much pain you can endure, but about how smart you train? Who showed me that yesterday's heroes don't disappear? They just sometimes get overlooked until someone remembers to look. Marina smiles, uncomfortable with the praise but appreciating the sentiment. After the dinner, she returns to the gym alone. She walks to the balance beam, that familiar apparatus, and stands beside it. She's not the young girl from the Olympic videos anymore. Her body carries the accumulated wear of years, the permanent effects of injuries sustained and barely recovered from. But she's also not the invisible cleaning lady anymore, overlooked and undervalued. She's something in between. A former champion who found new purpose not in past glory, but in preventing future tragedies. A teacher whose most important lessons came from failure, not success. A woman who learned that true strength isn't measured in medals, but in resilience, adaptation, and the willingness to find value even when the world has moved on. The photo on the wall catches her eye. Young Marina, frozen mid-flight, at the peak of her powers and fame. She studies it without nostalgia or regret. I was good, she says softly to the image. But I'm better now. Because now she knows that being seen isn't about being on a podium. It's about having your knowledge valued, your experience respected, your presence acknowledged. Some people spend their whole lives being famous. But only a few discover that being useful is better than being celebrated. Marina turns off the lights and locks the gym. Tomorrow, there will be more athletes to train, more injuries to prevent, more wisdom to share. The work continues, as it always has. But now, finally, she does it visible, valued, and vindicated. If this story moved you, if you've ever known someone whose past greatness was forgotten, whose skills were overlooked, whose value wasn't recognized until crisis forced the truth into light, share this video. Leave a comment telling their story. Say their name. Because here at Silent Legends, we believe the most important heroes are the ones who keep contributing even when no one's watching, who find purpose beyond recognition, who prove that yesterday's champions can become tomorrow's teachers if we're wise enough to let them. Subscribe to this channel. Help us tell these stories. Help us remind the world that age, obscurity, and humble circumstances don't diminish someone's worth. Sometimes the cleaning lady is a 3-time Olympic medalist. Sometimes the person you overlook is exactly the person you need. Thank you for watching. This is Silent Legends. And every forgotten champion deserves to be remembered. Disclaimer: this video is a fictional narrative created for entertainment purposes. While inspired by real values of perseverance, redemption, and the treatment of retired athletes, all characters and events are fictional.